You're standing in a crowded room. A figure passes by and your head turns. Your eyes lock on before registering a single facial feature. Our gaze often follows a trajectory we didn't consciously choose. This moment is dictated by a strict biological sequence that operates on a hidden timeline, one measured in milliseconds. It is easy to assume that a glance like this is driven by an instant evaluation of symmetry, style, or perfect features. In this first fraction of a second, the brain executes an involuntary biological reflex. The subconscious mind tracks movement and registers a presence long before the conscious brain catches up. This raises a question about the specific psychological architecture that triggers such a fast visual response. Recognizing this involuntary reflex suggests that early attraction functions as a biological sequence rather than a deliberate choice. To understand the reflex, we have to look at the primitive brain. It functions as a continuous pattern recognition engine, scanning the environment for anomalies. The brain is hardwired to track three specific physical vectors: rhythm, balance, and direction. The biomechanics of a human stride, the alignment of posture, and the rhythmic sway of the hips naturally command our subconscious visual focus. This chart shows a walking gait stripped to its core vectors. Tracking these shifting centers of rhythm and balance helped our ancestors assess health from a distance. As movement cycles into a recognizable pattern, these vectors bypass conscious filters and enter awareness. Capturing attention through physical motion is the human mind's hardwired response to noticing life in motion. Instinctively noticing physical motion is frequently misread as a sign of weakness or overt sexualization. However, there is a distinct psychological difference between the raw attention triggered by a gait and actual emotional attraction. In this context, movement serves as an effective mechanism for generating attention. The brain processes a kinetic, moving state with a higher priority than a static, still state. When that initial biological reflex finally fades, the brain begins to seek out more complex, non-visual data points. Motion acts as the initial spark, a biological invitation to evaluate the person beneath the surface. Because physical movement is ultimately fleeting, the human brain quickly searches for deeper emotional anchors to sustain interest. Attraction is often portrayed as an instantaneous realization of physical perfection. The data suggests a more gradual sequence. Once attention is secured, the internal logic changes. The brain asks, how does this person feel? It evaluates specific signals like confidence, their perceived energy, and overall presence. Perceived physical attractiveness changes based on the emotional energy an individual projects during an interaction. This brings the timeline to its final phase, where biological attention matures into a human connection. Deep desire builds silently over time, rather than announcing itself aggressively. Lasting bonds require a shared emotional connection. When initial physical attention merges with emotional resonance, a person becomes impossible to ignore. Physical traits and movements provide the invitation, but shared emotional connection remains the destination of human attraction.